All right. I believe we are live. Perfect. Amazing. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. So, first and foremost, my name is Darlise Calix. I am the yeah, you'll see it says developer. My name is Darlise Calix. I'm the new developer marketing manager at DevPost. My nickname all over the internet is developer. I thought it was super cute and interesting when I started learning how to code. And so that is why you see me
It is.
as it
It is.
is. I think
It
so.
gives you character.
I think so. I'm honestly thinking about getting like merch and like t-shirts and like stickers around it because I don't know. I've been doing that for like years and I think it fits.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that. But
Yeah.
thank you all for joining. I'm excited for today's workshop. Like I said, this will be a demo around GitLab for the Rapid Agents Hackathon. If you are not registered, please register. If you are nervous about registering, hopefully today will demystify a lot of the partners, a lot of the technology that you can leverage during this hackathon as well. If you're worried about getting started, you can ask your questions in the chat and I'll moderate. We'll be able to answer them live as well. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our demo workshop facilitator today, coming from GitLab, Regnard. He will introduce himself and GitLab and everything that we're going to cover today. So without further ado, I'll let Regnard take it away.
Thanks, Darlise. The developer sounds like something or looks like something you'll see on a T-shirt. So, folks who are in
I'm going
this
to get a
event,
t-shirt.
watch out for that. Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah.
I'm Regnard Raquedan from GitLab. I'm based out of Toronto. I grew up in the Philippines, so I don't know if there's anybody from the Philippines or Canada in this event right now. So, hi to you. So, I've been with GitLab for almost 4 years. 4 years in a couple of weeks. So, that's really nice. And I've been at GitLab mainly to help, the community, our partners, customers, and internal GitLab team members learn about GitLab and Google Cloud, integration solutions. And of course, in this age of AI, a lot of this is AI related, really. So what we will be doing for the next hour or so, maybe 40-ish minutes, I'll be running through a quick demo of how you can deploy an application, a workload onto Google Cloud, an agentic workload using GitLab. But it's a little bit of a twist because we kind of will be doing um, sort of like a mini makeover for an existing app, and then we'll show you how the things are being done. Hopefully, it'll give you some inspiration for your hackathon ideas. But like many things demoing with AI, we want to make things as deterministic as possible because if you've been vibe coding or using AI the last, I don't know, few years, things can vary. So I'm gonna be showing things that kind of was after the fact, and I hope you can kind of trust me that these things work because we just don't want to again diverge too much. All right. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. So are people asking if I'm sharing my screen?
Yeah, they were asking if you were sharing your screen
Oh, yeah, I'll
already.
I'll be sharing my screen. Don't worry. And folks at this event will be happy to know I'll be sharing my entire screen. So if any weird pop up comes out, please, I expect your understanding. So all right, so now you should be seeing my Discord, and now yeah. So I'll just be showing you a few things, um, some slides so that we can kind of have a good baseline of what I'll be doing, and then show you the actual me doing things with Gemini, anti gravity, GitLab, and then show you the final product, right? So the yeah, I've done my introduction. Now I'm sure if you've joined any of the past hackathons that DevPosts have been doing or been playing around and tinkering with AI, you know that AI agents can help you write code faster, right? But as I've learned from my own experience, hopefully it's similar to yours, that the generation of code is not really the bottleneck. In fact, it's becoming the easiest part. So what's the implication? So there are some other things, non-coding aspects that become the roadblocks that you kind of need to remove out of the way. So of course, me being with GitLab, I have an opinion of saying that GitLab with all of our technology partners can help you solve that problem. Now, GitLab, as you know, is a key partner of Google Cloud, which is one of the sponsors of the hackathon. So, GitLab and Google Cloud technologies together can help you really solve a lot of these agentic development problems thanks to security and infrastructure. Now, what shall we be doing today? So, what we will do, like I said, we'll have a mini makeover where we will have uh, an app that is um, based on the stock market, and then we will update it using AI. But between that, from the new UI to the from the old UI to the new UI, we'll have to see some issues created, merge requests, some governance, and of course, security before our workload gets to Google Cloud. Now, you'll see that theme, I'd say, throughout the next half hour because, like I said, working with agents is really becoming easy. Like in terms of what they can do, like the volume of code they can generate is just astounding, right? But what's happening now is really that boundary setting. Like how, what can and should the AI agents do, and what platforms and guardrails can we put in there so that they don't go crazy, right? I'm sure if you've heard of these AI agents going haywire in an enterprise environment, that's a big no, right? That's why our customers, whether they're big or small, they want to be able to define really the acceptable boundaries and guardrails that the agents can work in. So this is what we'll do. Like I said, we'll do the AI do the design. We'll have the code generation, a review of the code, and of course, the building and deployment. Now, a little bit of prerequisites. You definitely need to have a GitLab project because that's where we will have the um, the code repository that will be used for this demo. And then for the Google Cloud, make sure you have your Google Cloud project, your Gemini API. Actually, I should change this. They just updated this. Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform. Okay, we just changed it in Google Next. So yeah, and then of course your IAM permissions, and then anti-gravity IDE. Now, do note, last week, was it last week? Yeah, last week at Google I/O, they announced a new version of anti-gravity, which is anti-gravity 2.0. We will be using a different tool, which is anti-gravity IDE. So they're two different applications. So don't be confused. So when I say anti-gravity in this context right now, I'm referring to anti-gravity IDE. Okay, IDE, like this one. Okay, and that's it. Let's go to the demo. And let me just go to Discord. Any questions? Anybody posting any questions so far?
No, no questions so far except
Okay,
the hackathon link, which I provided.
awesome. All right, so let's go to the demo piece. Now, I'll start off with anti-gravity. So, oh wait, no, I'll show you the existing app that we'll be making over. Okay. So this is the demo app that we're starting with. It's a very basic, bland, um, black and white stock chart, right, of the S&P 500. What we will be doing is we'll be using AI to give this a facelift, right, a makeover. So we'll be creating an AI-based UI image and then creating the code that will be applied to the application and then deployed with GitLab. So, so the application is very straightforward. It's a Python-based app that uses a public API that will display the stock price. Now, it is deployed to Google Cloud Run. It's a serverless environment, very easy to use, and of course, GitLab has integrations that I'll show you later. Now, the first step that I did was to generate the the UI use with the AI. So I did this prior. So this is the UI we expect to see. We expect to see, uh, a fresher look. If you remember the black and white, of course, we're departing, we're moving away from that, and we're making it more modern, look and feel. Okay, so that's good. The first thing I would do is I would create an issue in GitLab to create the UI. So I'll use the AI here, or I could use GitLab Duo. So let me just check. Okay, that's a problem. You'll see. I wouldn't say a problem, but it's a reality. There's a little bit of code in here. Let's see if I could use Opus or Sonnet, so it's cheaper. Create an issue at GitLab to plan the UI refresh. Okay. So this works because of the MCP integration with GitLab, and you do that via the MCP servers right here while the agent is working. MCP server. So GitLab has its own MCP server that you can configure with Anti-Gravity IDE. You can do this with Anti-Gravity 2.0 as well, but I want to see this um, with the GitLab extensions installed. So that's why I have it in IDE. Okay, so let's go back to the agent. Okay, there's an error. I think this is because of the limits. I think we hit the limit. Yeah. So anyway, let's like I said, let's we can use this agent right here, or we can use GitLab Duo right here. So let's say create a new issue, create an issue at GitLab to plan the UI refresh. Okay, there you go. So I expect this to work, but what? Yeah, that's the problem. Sometimes when I've been using a lot of these agents, I hit my limit. So okay. So see here on the left side, it's asking me to create an issue in GitLab. So what is an issue? It's basically how GitLab depicts work items, right? So it's where you would put ideas and such. Um, I'd say input feedback from people who are working on this application. So imagine this is where a UI designer, a front-end developer, product manager, engineers would kind of come together and plan the issues. Okay, so it says agent is done. Just close this. I'm not phased by it. I've seen worse. I've had worse demos where the agent kind of just did its own thing. So let's go. Open up. Okay, so now the issue is created on GitLab. So for those who are folks who are not familiar with GitLab, again, folks are gonna my coworkers are gonna be slamming me for saying this, but we're like really the comparator for GitHub. So if you're using source code repositories, source version control, that is where GitLab started, but we also kind of expanded to DevOps and we created that category, right? So that's where our similarity with GitHub really ends. Um, so once this issue is done, I have to make sure that the integration with Google Cloud is complete. Showing right here. Before, if you're doing this, you have to go to the integrations and make sure that these two are set. The Google Cloud IAM and artifact management. So why are these important? So Google Cloud IAM is in identity and access management, and this basically tells no, this is a setup that will let GitLab and Google Clouds sort out the credentials. So you don't deal with service accounts. So once that is sorted out, you're good. GitLab and Google Cloud should authenticate using short-lived credentials. Now, artifact management is needed because we will be deploying to Cloud Run. And as you know, when you're dealing with Cloud Run, you're dealing with container-based deployments. And these container images, whenever you create your build, will have to go somewhere before it gets deployed to Cloud Run. So what we're doing here is we're letting GitLab deploy to Google's artifact registry before it goes to Cloud Run. Okay, so those are two key elements that you need to do if you're doing this. Okay, now when that is sorted out, let's go back. We can now kind of create the issue. Go back to the issue, work items, right? This is the issue I created. Now, when your team is kind of happy and want to start, doing the actual work, you can create a merge request from this page. Now, merge request in GitLab parlance is the pull request in GitHub. So again, you'll catch me saying like this uh, analog between GitHub and GitLab. But anyway, we create a merge request. Okay, we basically create a merge request from main and then create a new branch here. Now I will copy the branch name that we'll be creating because that will be needed later. So we create the merge request. Okay, it's merge request number 12. Let's just remove draft. Okay, let's create this. Now, when you create this merge request at this point, it's a blank slate, right? Nothing is in here because you haven't really introduced a new change. So then we will go back to GitLab, anti-gravity in our code repository and change from main to the new branch. Okay, so we're now working off of the new branch, and now we want to create the code to create this. So let's turn this panel off because it's embarrassing me, and it was a moment of my lowest point of this demo. But go back to the GitLab Duo agentic chat here, create the code that will reflect the new UI to the app image based on the image. Generated image. Okay. So while that is happening, what will happen is the AI agent will create the code, apply this code on the merge request. So we will just wait for it to make those changes. But to keep things going, I'll go back to GitLab and show you like a previous merge request I had done. So yeah, so this is an example of what will happen later. The code will be applied. Then we can have another agent review this. So GitLab comes with a Gemini-based code review agent called Develop with Gemini, which I tagged to review it. So I asked that agent to review this code change. It gave me this feedback, all good. And then once this is, you're happy with it, you can then go with your pipeline. You deploy it. Okay, so the deploy stage is very straightforward. Um, we have the build stage where it builds the artifact that will be going to artifact registry. And then this is the secure part as well. Like GitLab comes with security scanners built in, so you're not kind of purchasing them separately. You just invoke them via the CI/CD pipeline, and once they're succeeding, they can now upload to artifact registry. The final merge, when you merge this will actually deploy with a final, we call this deploy stage on the pipeline, and then it will deploy to Cloud Run. Actually, we can do that. Let's see. Okay. Let's try this old one. Okay, I'm happy. So let's see. Should I click merge? What do you
Fingers
folks
crossed.
think? Well,
Let us
let's
know
see
if we
this.
can click merge.
Yeah, yeah. Let's merge. No, what will happen is it'll redo the pipeline that I had shown you earlier because the previous pipeline will only go up to upload. It will not deploy because that's the rule we set. So it will just redo the stages that we did earlier, like the build stage, the test stage, and then the different, the upload. What will change though is it'll deploy. So let's wait for that deployment to have, deployment thing to finish, so we can kind of talk. Let's talk about the hackathon GitLab for maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to this deployment to see if things were successful. So
Perfect.
any questions? Yeah.
Um, well, one question that I saw in the chat is can they get access to the GitLab repo you're working on?
Yeah, so there is a public version of this. I'll make sure it's shared. We do have a GitLab public, like a partners repository. I'll share the link with you folks after the event.
Perfect.
Okay, Steve.
Amazing.
Okay. Other questions while we're waiting for this pipeline to finish.
Yeah, I see some people typing, so I'm guessing we're about to get some questions in the next 30
Yeah,
seconds here.
and yeah, and like I said, this is a live merge and deployment, so anything can happen. I hope I hope it doesn't crap out on me. But yep.
All right, first question we're seeing, is there a GitLab MCP free version available?
Okay. So GitLab MCP, the MCP server itself and tools are available, are free for paid accounts. But when you do have the paid account or a trial account, you'll have access to it. So
Mm,
if you want to have access to MCP tools or MCP tools I had shown here, like we go here, like MCP servers, like these. Like we have several, we have 18 or 16. 18 capabilities, 18 tools. We are, trying to improve MCP tools over time. So keep an eye out for these changes. So see, improve. Yeah. See, the other agent for our previous is still running, so it's asking for approval. So yeah, I mean, the good thing about anti-gravity, I can use, like I said, the agent here, the built into the IDE, or you can use the IDE, extensions that are, that are available on anti-gravity like GitLab or and other providers. That's a good thing about IDE because if you're using anti-gravity 2.0, you're only limited. I believe you're only limited to Gemini or the Gemini models that are in your, I guess, environment, right? So okay, so I'm just see it's still working right now. Just approve that, and let's
mhm.
just go back to GitLab and see our deployment.
Perfect. While you're doing that, there's
Oh,
another question around,
yeah,
okay, someone asking, can you show us the configuration or settings in Google Cloud Platform to work with GitLab? What does that look like?
Google Cloud. Okay, okay. So in there are two sides to it, right? One, you have to in this specific demo, you have to go to that integration. Okay, let me just put here. There are two parts. First is you have to set up the Google Cloud IAM configuration in here. So what will happen is it will give you, it'll ask you to enter your project ID, project number, provider ID, etc. Um, Again, it's fine for me to share this because you're not. These are demo accounts. But once you have these information, then you have to plug them into um, uh, the cloud shell, right? Once it's set up there, you're good to go. It'll create the workload identity federation, like the principles in there, and then you just need to provide the necessary permissions onto that principle, and that's it. So that's pretty much the configuration. No service accounts, no no rotation of these keys, etc. This will set that up for you. So this is built into Google Cloud. If you're using some other cloud provider, um, it won't work. This will only work for the GitLab SaaS version as well. So if you're using a GitLab self-managed, this capability will not be available. So you'll have to be using that you have to create a service account for your GitLab and Google Cloud integration.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Other questions?
Not a question, just them noting, saying, I'm assuming the Gemini API must be available and the project ID must be created first in GCP.
GCP. So wait a second. For this project, no, because technically, well, when you're using anti-gravity, that is how it, okay, I'll go back here. When you're using anti-gravity, you have to be signed into a good a Google Cloud linked account, right? So yes, in a way, when you're using this and you're making it available, you'll be prompted for some, I believe, some API enabling before this gets um, working. Yeah,
Mm, got it.
and if you're also using, you can also use Gemini Code Assist as an extension here, but there you'll definitely have to enable the APIs. But if you're just using the agent here, built into the IDE, then you definitely have to have the permissions. And then if you notice when I'm using GitLab, my GitLab Duo chat, agentic chat right here, this one you don't need to set up separately from Google Cloud, but you need to set it up on um, GitLab. Like here, if I go to the group where this is available, settings, GitLab Duo, configure features. So it'll ask me which models will be the agentic, capabilities we'll be using. So these will not be part of your Google Cloud account, but this will be within GitLab. So again, no API enabling needed, right? Okay, so let's take a look. I know we've kind of forgotten about the deployment, but it should be around. Nope. Yeah, there you go. Let's see how that went. Okay, it was a merge request. I think it was closed now. Nope, merged. Yeah, this is the one. Yep. So as you can see, pipeline was successful, and you can see that the difference is since this was a merge and it was the proper deployment, we have the deployed stage right here. And okay, it has a URL. Oh, I have to enable. See, by default, it will give you like that security issue. So, Cloud Run. You just have to go to Start Market, refresh. Yep. So you just need to change the security to publicly available. I hope you can see that. Okay. Let's refresh. There you go.
Nice.
Nice. This was live, folks. Again, I did not expect the, the output. So you're seeing this the first time as I am. So yeah,
A
all
win is a
good.
win.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back. Did it match? Close enough. Close enough. Let's give it a yeah. Yep. Right. There you go. So
Amazing.
so that's the deployment. So in that whole process end to end, you saw how we kind of provided a security, like securing how the app was going to be deployed. We provided some oversight in the merge request. Well, we kind of had that review process, approval, and we had like that agentic code review happening. Again, just it could that agentic part was of course set up prior, but you could imagine that it's something that you can do for you. So yeah, so in that whole end to end, we saw this makeover from from this app to this one, and then we used agents to make that happen. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I'll stop sharing now, and then you're probably sick of seeing my screen, and
Well, we do
yeah.
have some questions.
Okay.
One, we have a question for a solo developer that's building their first AI agent during this hackathon. What is the minimum deployment architecture you would recommend on
Mm,
GitLab with Google Cloud so the project is still secure and scalable without becoming over-engineered?
okay. So you have a few options there. In this for this specific hackathon, definitely recommended either Cloud Run is fine, or even just a simple virtual machine. We're not if you deploy to GKE, for example, that's not, I mean, it should be, it should make sense, right? Because you want scalability right off the bat or whatever. But for the purposes of this demo, it's more the user experience, the use case fit. So the infrastructure will fit that, that overall strategy. It's not like, oh, I have like this cluster of, I don't know, 72 nodes with high compute. What can I do with it? You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine, you can think of it that way, but it's like, your solution looking for a problem. So
Mm,
I would suggest looking at your problem statement, your hypothesis, and then start from there, and then build out the infrastructure that um, supports your hypothesis, right?
mm, great answer. Another question from Danny. Can you explain the last steps about what you do with Cloud Run? I mean, you get an error when you clicked in the deploy
Okay,
inside GitLab. Yeah. So can we go over that again?
sure. Yes, of course. Okay. So by default, when you spin up a new Cloud Run resource or service, the security setting is, I'll zoom in for,
Yeah.
again, there's nothing in here, you need my keys anyway. So there's nothing in here that's really sensitive, but by default, this is the setting that um, Cloud Run has. It will ask for authentication. So go to the service, it'll ask, you have to be set up and wired for whatever authentication is needed, whether it's your enterprise, uh, or some other mechanism, right? But if you allow public access, that will remove that restriction.
Mm,
So it'll remove, in effect, that 403 error that we saw earlier. So this is it. So when you spin up for new, so when you set this way, it'll persist and it'll open up the Cloud Run service. Cool. Okay.
perfect. Thank you. All right. We have a question from Joy. For the hackathon, are we expected to primarily build on the GitLab platform itself, or should we work on the Google Agent platform, kind of low code SDK? We've been trying both approaches, but ran into some setup and billing limitations on the Google side, especially with the SDK and API credits. So we wanted to better understand the recommended workflow.
Okay. Google. Well, Google, could you clarify what limits are you talking about? Like you want to do something, but you're out of credits. Is that what's happening? Again, I
Yeah,
want to give you a good answer.
that's what it's seeming like. But yeah, Joy, if you want to come on stage as well and kind of explain your question further, that's great too. If you want to, you can request to come on stage. Okay.
Okay.
And then while you're explaining further, you can
Yeah.
also like type in the chat as well. While you're explaining further, we'll move on to
Yeah.
another question real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Does Google Vertex AI only work on Google Cloud?
What do you, well, okay. So in Vertex AI, well, they kind of renamed it, right, to Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform. So it is a first party, or a Google Cloud service within the Google Cloud umbrella, but they do have different models that they work with. It's not limited to Gemini. So that's the thing. So if your question is, are they limited to Google Cloud? Yes, but are they limited to Gemini? No. They can
Mm,
work with Quad. They have um, Mistral, Llama, open weight models. So you will have options. Um,
got it.
yeah, I
And
think
then,
Gemini. So Joy has the
mm,
update here. Gemini API. Okay. Google Agent Platform. Okay, so if I were to again just piece together what you posted in here, Joy, like you exploited. Okay, the you can use GitLab in a few ways here. Again, I'm not saying this is the right answer, but these are some paths that you can explore. You can use GitLab. You can build on top of your project. Can kind of build on top of GitLab. Like I'm creating like this nice integration that uses some API plus MCP, and it's a different visualization of what GitLab's doing. Again, you can do that. The other option is I am deploying, let's say my code base is in GitLab. I have a very, I'd say, elaborate and very interesting applications of agent orchestration. And then after doing these things, it'll deploy, deploy something interesting. Like it'll deploy AI into my fridge. I mean, again, just an example, right? Just giving an idea. So it's like a very novel and unique application of GitLab using the technologies that are available, that's recommended in the hackathon. So again, just to give you an idea.
Got it. All right. Any other questions? I'm looking through
I
the
have,
chat.
okay, you can ask in French. I'll try. Je parle français. Euh, mais un peu. So désolé. D'accord?
If you want to come on
Uh,
stage, let me
yeah.
know. I'm going to
Yeah,
see
so
some more
let's see
people
other
there.
questions. Are there session by Elastic? Of course, Elastic is a good. Maybe yeah, Google Translate. Of course,
It's actually a good
that's the thing to
use,
go. Yeah.
a great use case for that, actually. There's a question on YouTube chat. Oh, thank you. Let me check on that as well.
Okay.
What is the question on YouTube
So
chat?
yeah, I mean, let's see here. I
All
have
right. How does one deploy the custom domain property from Google Analytics to Google Cloud Console API's workspace? That is the question I'm seeing.
so use Gemini. Sorry, what's the question?
How
Gemini.
do I deploy the custom domain property from Google Analytics to Google Cloud Console API's workspace? I'll also paste it in
Uh,
the Discord
yeah,
chat.
yeah.
And
Unfortunately, that's something as much as I know a lot of Google things because I'm a Google developer expert too. That's I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. Like
yeah,
you have a GA4 domain and you want to bring it over to your cloud logs. Yeah, there's probably a answer there, but I haven't come across it.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
sorry to hear it. Sorry for it. Okay, there was a question here about free account. What is that? Uh,
Let's see.
oh, sorry. Is this free GitHub Duo agent? It's GitLab. Uh, it's GitLab Duo agent platform, and yeah, it is. It's there's a free trial. No, you'll be surprised. GitLab has been around for 10 plus years. We're a publicly traded company. Um, but yeah, people still confuse us for our competitor, which is again understandable. Like I'm sure most of you folks started your dev career, coding career using a GitHub repo, which is fine. Like we know that, but we do know that when you get to your workplace and your enterprise environments, and you kind of need to get more enterprise features that are built in, people kind of start to graduate from from GitHub to GitLab. So it's like this story of if people who drive here, think about your first car.
Mm,
Like it was probably a I don't know nice beater type of car. So for some of you, it's a nice I don't know Tesla or whatever. But you're not the character of this story. But yeah, you start off with a simple car, but then at some point, yeah, I want to have a nicer car. I want to have more features, more power, and then you buy that new car, right? I see that journey similar with GitHub, where yeah, I'm starting with GitHub. It's good at the beginning, but then when you start need to graduate, yeah, you can still stay, but if you want to upgrade and change directions, GitLab is often that um, direction that people take. So yeah. Okay. More questions I'm seeing now.
yep.
Okay. J'ai l'habitude d'utiliser GitLab pour les déploiements, mais j'ai jamais bien savoir comment. Okay,
Uh,
security. Okay, you're talking about deployment security. Um, deployment.
I think I'm used to using GitLab for deployment, but would love to know like how you handle deployment from a security perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So the security, we cover it. Okay, the security is like a big I'd say it's a big area, right? And there's really I wouldn't say I haven't seen a tool or a service that covers 100%, but your goal really is to cover as much as you can. With GitLab and Google Cloud together, you kind of cover a really good surface area where we secure the deployment side, the DevOps, the deployment, like the pipelines, and then Google Cloud will secure the infrastructure. And of course, it's like this whole shared security responsibility because the workload you're deploying, like the application, I mean, it's kind of your responsibility, or another tool could be responsible for securing that workload, right? So imagine I'm creating that in that stock chart example. I'll make sure that there's no way people can inject malicious code in there as an input, right? But at the same time, my tool should be able to prevent um, dependencies that can open up vulnerabilities, um, and of course that deployment of from my GitLab repo all the way to um, Google Cloud, the creation of the image, the packaging of that artifact, and then going to Google Cloud has to be secured. GitLab does a very good job of that. Then when it gets to the infrastructure, then of course that's your infrastructure at work, right? You have your load balancing, you have to have your network security, so you kind of are not exposed in that way. So again, my point is the security standpoint, GitLab will work in conjunction with many services and tools. We can cover as much ground as we can. Like GitLab, as you can see, it's a very wide application, but it won't cover the whole thing. So you need to kind of do that. Yeah, I
Mm.
hope that was able to answer your question. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I think I have about 2 minutes left, technically, because I think this is a 45-minute session. But I did want to get to Jarvis's question.
Sure.
When deploying autonomous AI agents through GitLab CI/CD, what is the best practice for auditing the agent's code execution paths in real time? Should we handle security gating entirely at the pre-deployment CI stage, or do you recommend a runtime LLM gateway to intercept
Okay.
malicious hallucinated actions? Let's start there.
Okay. This is a good question because I've been thinking of this a lot, like the runtime versus build time agents. Because the reality is, runtime agents are expensive. Expensive in the sense that they can consume your tokens. You can burn through your tokens a lot in the runtime. So think about for a bit, like if I'm able to pre-compute a lot of these agentic work on build time, or even in the it's any time before runtime, pretty much, you're in better shape, right? So my opinion here is, if I can put security before runtime, that's the better option. Again, that's my opinion. People can have different opinions. If you post me saying this online, some group out there will probably bash me to bits, but that is my belief and I'm putting it out there. So yeah, that that's my opinion. So that's my take.
Yes. All right, and then taking a look at any others. We're coming up on time, but let's see. GitLab runners are inherently ephemeral. Okay, how do you efficiently manage and persist an agent state securely between decoupled GitLab jobs without exposing sensitive environment variables?
Okay, so at least with GitLab, when we run our agents, it agents will have its own ephemeral environment, right? So in there, if you do introduce any environment variables, of course you're going to put them in your environment variables setting. It will not leak anywhere,
Hmm.
so that's pretty secure and stable. But your question about the persistence of this credentials, you'd have agents for now, at least with GitLab, you need to put them as environment variables. Again, we do a good job of securing it. Of course, if the best standard is you're not putting any credentials anywhere, that's the best approach. But the next best is to put it in a nice secure location. Now you can either, depending on how you craft your agent, you can use our own environment variable. Um, I wouldn't say vault, but place to store them, or you can use other services like Google Secrets Manager, other vault type of services for your agents access. But then you're putting an extra layer of um, you know um, checking and accessing those vault, a little bit of overhead. So if you can live with that, fine. But for the most part, for this at least for this hackathon, at least reduce complexity by just storing your credentials uh, in GitLab secure environments. But if your hackathon project is all about security, and you need the best practices in place, then yeah, by all means, use a vault, right?
Amazing. All right. I think that's all the time we have for questions. I want to say thank you, Renard, so much for doing this demo. If anyone has any additional questions after the fact, please feel free to ask it within either the general chat. We do have a category for this particular hackathon as well in our Discord. So feel free to ask questions there. And if you have answers, feel free to answer there as well and kind of help your fellow builders out. But thank you all so much for attending. Like I said, the recording will be up on the YouTube pretty much right after I wrap up here. And we'll also send a feedback survey, just kind of like let us know like how this demo was for you, what you'd like to see more of. And we wish you all the best of luck during this hackathon.
Yep. Thanks, folks. Thanks for your questions. See you at the hackathon.
Hey, everyone.